Good day, guys. Welcome to the monthly analysis. So we're just going to do a quick one. So yesterday we managed to catch C500. So today, how I'm looking at it is could get a drop down, possibly. So if we are to get a drop down, I'm looking at this area as a safe entry. So either this is the peak now and price breaks and drops, or if they decide to create a new peak, then we'll look for another order block for a short-term sell though. Excuse me. So let's just take a look at the daily. The reason I want to sell is because the daily hasn't interacted with the 13 EMA. Of course, they might not, but I'm just looking at the brighter side that they could still come interact with the 13 EMA before they continue pushing up if they want to. So I'm looking for a possible short-term sell there. That's my bias. Let's see what H4 has got. So from H4, we've got this area here of interest, a possible supply zone. So price is currently within that zone. So let's see if H1 has got a candle. We're still waiting for H1 to give us a reversal candle. Price sort of slowed down here the past 3 hours. We're currently in the 4-hour supply. So if we're going to sell, we still want to see H1 give us like a good momentum to the downside, shifting the zone from today's high. Then if we can break this low here, that will be a safe spot to get a sell. If they decide to continue pushing up, I've got an order block here, which was not retested yesterday. I think it's visible from the M15. Okay, if you notice on the M15 yesterday, after we created this peak, we also had an order block here, minor retest here. I even thought they would come up here, create a pattern, then drop, but they didn't. So if they don't act around this area, they might still act around this area, which will still be a short-term sell until a higher time frame shows us that we're actually pushing down. So those are the 2 points of interest which I have on C500. So we've got 3568 and we've got 3521. So 3521 here for a safe entry sell, and 3568 for a potential sell area, which could actually be like high of the day being set. So if we can get a fresh pattern being created around this area, then we can execute it. But if there is no pattern, this zone might be invalid. So we just want to pay attention to that as well. So that's my view today on C5. C1 already sold yesterday, the time we were in C5. They gave this sell. This one wasn't too clean. Then today they started off by coming up, then they pushing down. So let's see if there is possibility of continuation to the downside. Possibility is there, but it's not really that high. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the 50 EMA and the 13 EMA being dynamic support for this price as it came down. So they can reject off the zone, continue pushing up. That's a possibility. Let's quickly check the weekly. Weekly, if you zoom in, you see we haven't really interacted with the 50 EMA. Let's see if we tapped into this. We also haven't really tapped into this weekly supply zone. So they might still continue being bullish. But at the same time, the way the weekly is looking, we might also get scalp sells here. because price might actually decide to accelerate down all the way to this support zone there. So that's a possible play. So let me just quickly mark that zone. So if they decide to push down, we need to look for where we can potentially enter from. This is the daily dropping down to the H4. Okay, this is the broken zone. It looks like it's been retested here. Let's just confirm. Okay, 6180. That's a break of this level from last week, and price sort of rejected that area again. Looks like a break and retest, but at the same time, we're in a zone where there is dynamic support right there. So either they will break and come down to the daily zone, or they will respect this, push back up, then sell. That's also possible. So this one we really need to sort of trade it with caution. So let me just check the 3-hour and the 2-hour also to see if there's price action we can use. There's so many order blocks or so many supply areas which I see from the 3-hour, so it's hard to use that one. Okay, on the 2-hour, that break and retest is pretty much visible here. So maybe a slight retracement, continuation to the downside. That's possible. So everything we're pointing out here, nothing is too high, is high probability yet, because I feel like the area we are in now will be full of traps. This whole area, because we've got a lot of moving averages here, ranging from the highest time frame all the way coming to H1. So price can still decide to trap a bit in here. They can retrace to the trend line, then sell. There's a lot of potential plays which could happen. Let's see here. Point of interest 61.66. Okay, point of interest for sales. We've got this order block and we've got the trend line, this minor trend line here. So price might come back up here, then sell. That's also possible. They might decide to do this push up, possible. They might extend the high, react of the 200 EMA, also possible. There's so many plays today on the C1, so I prefer to just watch how price plays out. Maybe leave it on the H1 to see how the price will be delivered on the H1. But if we can come back to today's high within this order block we marked at 61.66, there is a high probability that price might just extend the high slightly, respecting this zone, and also respecting the 50 EMA and bouncing off the 50 static on the TDI as a confirmation. If they do that, then that will be a high probability area to sell from. So anywhere from 61.66, we start stalking price candle for candle. A sell from here, for me, it won't really be high probability based on the price action and the fact that we've got the 800 EMA. It could be a liquidity grab, then price might come up. So I wouldn't want to sell anywhere here. I'd rather wait for them to come around 61.66 area to 61.86. Then wait for a reversal, look for a pattern, then sell. That's how I would approach C1000. Then looking at C300, this one has been selling for quite some time, coming from this peak here last week. So let's see if sales might continue. The daily looks like we've taken some liquidity on the bottom side there with this spike. So chances are price will retrace up and look for something here before they maybe sell again. So the bias here, we don't have a selling bias. So I won't really be paying much attention to this, maybe until they reach, right? We agree, supply zone here, right on the 200 EMA as well. So that's a point of interest there. If they can get to that area, then maybe I can start looking for sales. This zone here, let's see if it was retested. It was retested right here last week. But we'll just want to see how they react to it. If they get to this zone here, though I feel like it will be a minor zone, we'll just see how they react. We might get a drop. Maybe this is a range for this week, so price might do this. That's possible, but my high probability area for sales will be at 32, from 32.65. 32.65 to 33.75 is actually a big area. So best way to trade it would be to wait for price to get in that area on H1, get a reversal candle, drop to M30, M15, M20, look for a pattern, then sell. So it's just like a point of interest, no sell limit there. It's just a point of interest. If they do decide to just drop, let's say for some reason they want to drop from where they are, would consider this being the peak and this being the order block. So it will be a pattern maybe like this, coming back to these lows or coming back into this area here. This is H1. But all this will probably be price lining up to push up. So we just have to also watch how price will be moving. So they could actually be doing this, right? They come into this zone, then they push up to our points of interest here at the top. That's possible. But if they continue pushing down, then it could be a continuation of the downtrend as well. So anything here will be short term. Possible TP will be here. This is H1. So if I just zoom in, you can just see, if you look at your H1 chart, the highest candle, then just mark the order block there. If price reacts here, we might get a sell. Bearing in mind that here there is like a demand zone where price can just tap, then push up without coming here. So we'll just see how price plays, but I feel like they can still come down all the way here, which is also possible. So just keep an eye on this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this candle here. At the same time, I know today's high is currently here and I see the 200 EMA. So again, price can extend the high, take liquidity, then create a pattern and still sell. That's also another sell scenario which can happen around that area. Another sell scenario is this one. They might just tap, retrace here, then push back into this area of demand or into that order block. That's also possible. So let's see. If you notice, we've got a nice order block there where we marked from H1. So if we get a reaction here, price can potentially drop. So from 28.20, that's a point of interest. If that order block holds the price, then we'll definitely sell all the way to 26.85. Potentially, this is a potential setup. We'll just pay attention to how price reacts on this area, because this area, I think it's in line with this high here. So we could get price stopping on that area there. But if they also break and show signs of retesting, then we can still scale it into that trade if we are in it. So 27, 25, 27, 25. We just see how price reacts to that area because it's a high which was broken and retested here. So price might hit here and fail to go down, and they'll continue pushing up. So let's just pay attention. But if they do come down and give a retest, then they'll definitely be coming into this demand, even drop furthermore. So that's my view on C3. Okay, so C5 looks like it's pushing up. The high has been extended, which makes the zone invalid for the safe sell we were mentioning. So as long as price creates a new peak, just locate the next order block. So considering that the new peak might be this leg pushing up, this would be the safe sell area. So that changes the initial view we had. And it's also like an advantage to watch how price is moving, like each hour, just to see where the algorithm is pricing the price. So right now we're in a bullish flow, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. So we still need to break a low, possibly retest it before we actually take a trade. So for now, we are in higher highs. That means we do not have anything until this low is broken. So you just try to keep it as simple as that, and price action will be better to understand. So looking at, okay, we're going to add B1000, B500, J10, and V250. So on B1000, just going to throw the template. On B1000, let's see. What do we have? I think I actually looked at this in the morning, like earlier when it was here. And I figured they would be coming to the 800 EMA here. Then I went off the charts. And if you notice, they didn't get there. This was the peak, lowest low, last order block. So safe buys would have been in this area. There's also a zone, a minor zone, broken with a break of structure. Price came to retest that area, and another entry would have been here if we were looking at price that way. So what could potentially happen today now is, let's see how the weekly is looking. Weekly for me looks like they might deliver price down to the 13 EMA or to this zone, maybe before pushing up. That's how I'm sort of looking at it. So from a weekly, I have a bearish bias. So the daily, we are right on a zone where price likes to do a lot of traps right on the 13 EMA. So if we close bullish today, then tomorrow we'll be looking for longs. But if we close bearish today, it will support the weekly view that price is actually being delivered to the downside, potentially becoming all the way to Feb's lows. Take our liquidity day before we even start to look for buys. So that's how I'm currently looking at it from a higher time frame perspective. So you can just mark the points of interest here. We've got order block or a demand area on the daily, right? So price might potentially be delivered to that area. But if we close bullish, then we are definitely going to come to this month's highs, maybe take liquidity before we actually come down, if price is going to come down. So just be keeping tabs on that one, especially with the daily chart, to see where our bias is. So for now, we don't have anything clear. As you can see, daily is on a trap zone area. Yes, we might look for buys, but weekly is also showing us that the delivery of price looks bearish or will potentially be bearish. So we don't want to have any early entries. What we'll pay attention to is one, this order block here on the 4-hour, and we'll are also going to pay attention to the 200 EMA here, yeah, the 200 EMA area on the 4 hour, which is just below these lows, right? That's a point of interest there. Then we are also going to pay attention to the current highs of this week. And we are also going to pay attention to the last high we have before price was delivered to the downside, which is here. So I'm just going to use the candlestick bodies here because I need, let me confirm it with the line chart. Okay, right there. So that's the actual zone which I want. Then the current high for this week, I want the current high price and not the candlestick board. So that's why I marked this one. So we'll see how price plays out. If they come here on the order block and we get a reaction, that's on 11, that's on 14,120. If we get to 14,120 and we get a reaction, then we can look for buys. But if we break, we'll watch how price reacts to this week's lows. So they could potentially break, then bounce off the 200. We can get a short-term trade into the retracement as the weekly candle expands to the downside, like we mentioned. But if they respect this, it will also be a short-term buy, but we'll be targeting this week's highs. That's the reason we marked this area here. Then if they show momentum here, they might potentially get all the way up to 14,380. That's also possible. So we're going to leave this one right here on the H4. Let's see if we can leave it on the H1 so that we can keep tracking price. Okay, we're going to leave it on the H1. Again, within the 4 hour, so this whole area is a 4 hour order block or a 4 hour demand zone. If you drop down the time frames, you see that price might actually come all the way deep into that zone and just use this area. So you should also just watch how price reacts once it gets to these lows or to this zone here on the H1. Okay, so that's my view for B1. Going to B500. I noticed on Saturday we missed a very good trade. Saturday I didn't get on the charts. I didn't trade. But there was a good trade here, a good buy. And it was in line with the setup we wanted. I remember B5, we literally wanted price to go up. And we kept, I think we got buys here, we got buys here, we got stopped out, we got buys here, we got stopped out. Potentially we traded again here and got stopped out, but at the same time we ended up saying, okay, let's wait for this price to actually get out of this area because there was a lot of choppiness happening here. So they ended up moving the day we didn't get on the charts. So they broke outside the area or outside the choppy zone or outside the range. They reacted nicely on the 200 EMA, creating a peak, breaking an order block, breaking an order block, breaking an order block, breaking a zone. And all those areas were points where we could actually have taken some trades. But anyways, we missed that one. And looking at it today, they could be delivering price to the downside. Let's see weekly. Okay, weekly looks like we could still push up. We could still push up. Okay, right now they currently your English tongue twisting me. They are currently rejecting that zone. We had the candlestick bodies, but this is the ultimate high price, which they can still push to. So where can we take a buy on this particular trade? Because on the weekly, I feel like we can still continue expanding to the upside. So when we drop down to the daily, we are looking for demand zones or areas of interest. So we've got this ultimate high here, which is a point of interest where price can get into. Then there's a few zones on the daily there. The thing is, there are so many in the same area, so it won't be clear which one exactly price will use. But this is the ultimate zone, which was broken, slightly retested here. Price can trade into this area. We might get it going up. All right, I'm coming. All right, just hold. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm back. So I was saying the daily might push into the zone here. That's possible. The thing with B5, it's very, very unpredictable. Looking at H4, right? So this zone was broken, price played above. Okay, this is the zone I would use a breaker block, which is slightly above this area here. So because the candles are like this, I'll switch to the line chart just to see these highs here from last week. So that's a point of interest for buys as well. So that's around 51, 25, 51, 25. So that's a point of interest for buys anywhere from 51.25 coming down to the 50 EMA or into this broken order block as well. So that's around 51.05. So I would say from 51.25 to 5100. That's my current point of interest where price can potentially buy from. And if they decide to buy from this area, we'll simply have to get an H1 candle showing us a rejection and M15 giving us a pattern. And we'll be targeting the current highs of this week, which is around 52.80 for a take profit. So that's how I'm viewing this one. Then going to J10. See, we're running out of time. But going to J10 weekly. Weekly looks bearish, but if you notice, this week has not yet created a wick on the top side. It's always nice to see price creating a wick to the top side before they sell. So if they can come create a wick above that red line there, which we've just drawn, then we can look for potential sells. So price is to push up above this this price line here, which is 81,177. Sorry, 85,177, 85,177. So if we come back above there, then we can look for a sell. So this is where this week's price opened, which was yesterday. So we still want price to trade above there. So can we look for a short-term buy? Yes, we can. Let's see if we've got anything showing us signs to get a short term. So points of interest for a short term buy would be first this order block on the bottom or demand zone or potential demand zone. We might look for buys above today's highs. So we need a break and a retest, something like this. Then we can take profit anywhere near our point of interest where we want the weekly candle to start setting its wick if we are to deliver price down. So that's how we're viewing this. We're also going to try and keep it very simple. So this is H1, M30. Okay, what do we have? M30 again, we've got this point of interest here. So if price comes here and they give us a pattern, this is a high probability area to buy and still target the same area, which we mentioned from the weekly zone. So this is M30. You just mark the area here, wait for price to come back there. But if we do break right now, then we might just bounce off here and continue pushing up. But the buys are short-term trades for now. We just We are anticipating the weekly candle to set a wick on top before it starts expanding to the downside for the weekly. So that's my view on J10. Rounding up with V2501S. H1 looks bearish, but let's start with it again from the weekly. This, I think I marked it on my phone. There was a view I'm seeing. I still feel they can be bearish. If you notice, my zones have disappeared. I don't know what happened to my platform. We had zones we had marked for a couple of weeks back here, which we were using, but they disappeared. So I will need to remark this one. But at the same time, I still feel we can be bearish. So I still want, if price can extend and pass last week's highs, just making it a bigger week, and we get a pattern here, then we can look for price to expand to the downside. The past few weeks, price has been consolidating, as you can see, after we got this huge move. So we'll just keep an eye for price to potentially break these levels and go down. So we'll just be looking for points of interest to get sells. If we look at the daily, we are below the 13 EMA. Not much in terms of direction here. It looks like we're consolidating, but if we can break this low here from 3 days ago, break and a retest would seal this to be a good sell setup, and we will target these lows here. So I think that's what I'm just going to use for now until price shows us something solid. So if you're on the daily charts, just mark the 3 days from today. Mark that low or the last low you see. If price breaks that area, then we can look for potential sales. So I think that's it for today. I'm still strongly stoking on C5 because there's a peak. We're on the 200 EMA, so it looks like an extended high. We also have an order block. So as soon as they break this order block here on 35, 35, 35, 35, 32, I'll be looking to take the sells and take profit around today's lows or around yesterday's lows. That's my current view right there on top of what we discussed earlier. So stalking strongly there. This one might take time. C1, C3 looks like it might, they could drop the price before they get into a zone, but we'll keep stalking. B1, B5, we're stalking on those, and we just wait. Hopefully today will be a good day, but for now we'll keep stalking on C5. So today's session was a bit longer, but I hope you guys have watched to the end, and if there's any signals during the day, I'll still share on Telegram. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.